Okay, Ned, so how we start all these films, the story interviews, is we get you to tell us something about your family origin, your grandparents, where they came from and all that. So if you wouldn't mind, would you first of all tell us about where the family came from and all that?
Well, they came from the estates in England. They were brought over here to other estates as gamekeepers. And then some of them were moved back here to Tramore back to the Sandhills. But eventually, most of the next generation all went to sea.
And the Stubbs, what landlord did they work for here when they came to Ireland?
That's no one that seems to know.
Okay.
They worked for a couple in Tipperary, and I don't know who they worked for here in Waterford. But all I know is that's what they ran. The next thing they spread out.
And some of them went off to sea?
There was 3 or 4 of them. Complete change from gamekeeping. But the grandfather then, he settled here in Tramore.
And what was his name?
Jim Stubbs.
And then what did he do down here?
He was at sea for a while and eventually he retired. And he worked at everything and anything then when he came back. And he had another brother living in town, a William Stubbs. He was a ship's captain. So I don't know what became of him when they finished. But that's about as far as I can get there.
Okay. And then your own father and mother, who were they?
My father, he's actually Jim Stubbs' son. He had a cobbler shop here in Tramore. The mother was a Maloney from Waterford. I think her father was something to do with funerals or something.
And the cobblers, was that before your time or do you remember?
Oh no, I remember it. Sure. Okay. I used to work with them down there.
All right. So tell us about your earliest memory then of being the cobblers. What was that?
That would be delivering the shoes for them when they be finished. We'd have to go around on the bike and deliver them around the town. But then we used to help them out, finishing the shoes and that kind of thing.
And would you remember who you used to bring the shoes to? Any of the houses and all that kind of stuff? Who would you go to? Would you remember any of the houses you used to go to with the shoes?
Oh gosh, I've seen them. Most of them. But the majority of them came in, but they used to come in for the chat. And then he got involved running bus tours. He was doing that for years. Half day, full day. And the people who come in, they'd be in so much a week, they'd have it paid for them by the time he was going off.
What, he had his own bus?
No, he used to hire out lad bearers buses. But then they had to stop that, the CIE got onto him. We had to go to CIE. He didn't like that.
And where did he train as a cobbler? How did he train?
I'm trying to think of the man's name now. George White. He served his time under George White, which is only just across the road. Then he opened up himself. But there were 7 cobblers here at that time. Believe it or not, it was only a village.
And when you said you used to help them out, would you have learned any of the trade?
I learned most of it.
Oh. But I suppose in those days people, no one threw away anything.
Oh no, they kept repairing them. And most of the shoes were leather anyway. Nowadays they're rubber, they just throw them away.
Yeah.
That's why there were so many cobblers in it.
And when you were a child then, what was your memories of, did you live around town?
We lived up in, my oldest memory was living up in St. Othran's. I actually saw that German plane being shot down from the back window. We had a view straight out over the country. I was actually in bed, only a kid, and I heard all the noise going on. I ran to the landing window. I saw it actually being shot down. Your man came down, then gave it a salute and went up. The father ran up the stairs and told me, "Get down out of that window." There was bullets flying everywhere.
And was it a German plane that was shot down?
Yeah, down in Carricklown.
And did you all go down to have a look at it?
Well, most people did. We were too small. We wouldn't be left down there anyway. But I saw the whole lot anyway, so I was quite happy.
So, I mean, I'd say you were popular with all your friends when you were telling them the story. And
Oh yeah. You didn't, did you?
and that was during the war, obviously.
Yeah.
And like, what was it like here in Tramore during the war?
There was a lot of activity with the... we had the construction corps that were part of the army. They were down around Riverstown there. They were the caravan parkers. They had all their huts down there. They added a bit to the town. Actually, they drained the bog down there, and that's where the pitch and putt was.
And would there be, like, I mean, would you have had rationing here and all that kind of stuff?
Oh gosh, yes. There was no white bread, no butter, no tea. You win with your coupon book. You get nothing without that.
And was there a lot of kind of wheeling and dealing going on around all that, like smuggling or people trading? And
There was, but they only found that out afterwards. The big shots could get in teachers' of tea. No one else could get it. But wherever they were getting it out of, I don't know.
so it depends on who you knew.
Yeah, not what you knew.
And so, would you have noticed then, after the war, would you have noticed a change?
Oh, huge. I mean, we got white bread for the first time. And they couldn't believe it was as white as that. The bread we were getting was like brown bread, but it wasn't. Of course, we got butter then. A lot of different things came on the scene again. You know?
Sorry, you would remember the incident in the Rars garage, would you?
I remember going down to have a look at it. I wasn't that old either. As well as the time the train came onto the road below.
Well, tell us one story first. Tell us about the garage first.
Oh, that was the one where someone picked up something on the beach and they brought it up to the garage to get, I think there was copper or something on it. And there was 3 men there banging away on it. Actually, the owner of the garage was down in the pit under a car when it went off. He was all right. Actually, the relation of here was one of them killed. What's his name? Ned Winters, is it? Yeah.
God, that was an awful calamity, wasn't it?
It was. Again, going back to my grandfather, he was the first man on the scene for that. The minute he heard the bang, he knew what it was and where it was. He knew they were at it.
And then you mentioned the train crash.
That's the way it came out over the wall below on the Strand Road. I can't remember how they got that back up. But they did eventually.
Oh, what happened? Did just the brakes fail or what?
Yeah, the brakes failed. It was going down to, the engine was going down to Turn on the turnstile. And it kept going.
Oh, would this be a steam train?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was around the time, it was race week, wasn't it? And someone rang the 5-minute bell early. And all the people from Waterford were going back on the last train. They were all gone to the station. Otherwise there'd been a lot of people killed.
And talking about the race week, what was the race week like back then?
Hectic. Hectic. You'd be blown out of it with JRB cars. And you'd have horses coming from the Priest Road and Market Street. Continuously going over and back to the racecourse. But the crowds were something else.
And I believe like accommodation was hard to find.
They'd sleep anywhere. Every house, all up our way now, we were near the racecourse. Everyone kept people. Same all over the town.
And I suppose everybody tried to make a few bob on something that week, didn't they?
Yeah, and they did. They did, sure, the amusements, they were flying. Anything you ran here that week, you make money on it.
And then what did your dad do during that? I mean, if he had a shoe repair shop wouldn't be in big demand. What did he do during the race?
He was kept going.
Oh.
But he was involved in the Red Cross. He used to be down patrolling the beach and other things like that. And of course he was into doing a bit of fishing. But he kept busy because during the summer he'd start making handbags and sandals. And he was selling those to the tourists. And he thought he'd make a few bob, he tried his hand at it.
And then you went to did you go to CBS?
CBS and went from that into the Tech.
And what was the CBS like?
CBS was alright. We used to do a lot of concerts there. We'd actually take part in the concerts because we get away with homework. We'd be rehearsing instead.
And were you interested in school, or were you?
I was in certain things, but other things I had no interest. We were doing Latin and science. I mean, what the hell do you want after?
And so what did you move on to then in the Tech?
So I went to do homework and it never came to or the homework, so woodwork never came to me. So I packed up then, I got a job, and the man who was working for it taught me how to drive. And after that, that's all I done, drove. Once you were driving, you could go from one job to another. And I enjoyed it.
And did you drive a van, or?
Vans, and went from that on to trucks and whatever was going.
And did you travel around the country?
I did eventually. I've done a bit of courier work.
And to come back then to Tramore when you were younger, what was it like to grow up as a child?
I was quite happy anyway. We enjoyed it. We found something to do.
Like what? What kind of things would you do as kids?
During the summer, to be swimming and over on the rocks fishing. And in the winter, to be up on our day off hunting rabbits. And then you'd be playing a bit of soccer. So that time passed.
And why soccer and not the GAA, as a matter of interest?
I just preferred the soccer. And it was nearer to me, it was just down the road from the house.
And like, the other way a lot of people here would have been going over and back and forth to England. And I suppose Waterford as well, a lot of people went back and forth. Would that have influenced the whole interest in soccer, do you think?
I don't know, most of the lads that went over to England stayed over there. They used to come over and back all right. Very, very few of the lads stayed put here.
And what about like when you were hunting and all that? I mean, who would bring you out and show you how to catch rabbits and all, or shoot rabbits? And all?
You'd learn it yourself the hard way. We'd use terriers, and then we'd use a few snares here and there as well. It meant we were having rabbits at least twice a week. There'd be 4 or 5 us going out, we'd all have a good supply.
So all the rabbits you caught, you'd eat?
Oh yeah, well, if we got too much, we used to sell them to Billy Stewart. He'll shop down there a bit. Used to get a £0.5 a pair, which was nice money then.
And you didn't shoot them, you snared them, was it?
Snared them or the dogs. The terriers would hunt them out, and we'd have the ash plants. Aye.
Back the neck.
There's nothing wrong with them either.
And where would you go to get? Where's the best place?
Oh, we used to cover the whole countryside. They were everywhere then. No matter where you went.
And then that all changed then, obviously, with the mixed-mitosis.
Yeah, that's what I said earlier, but that's when I took up the gun.
And with the gun, what would you be shooting? Birds or something?
Pheasants,
All right.
duck, whatever was there.
And you wouldn't get into trouble for shooting?
Oh no, we had a gun club here.
All right.
And there had to be a member of the gun club, and then you could shoot wherever you liked. Get the odd farmer wouldn't let you in.
And what about the whole thing about the hunt? Did you take part in all that?
No, I used to go up and watch them all right. But it used to be the odd hunt midweek now. There wouldn't be a big crowd following us. We'd go off on the bikes and we'd follow him around. And that was a great crack.
But there's a big tradition here, isn't there, on Stephen's Day, isn't there? Of the
Oh, it is, that's the big one. But they go off at least into every Wednesday, they hunt as well. And you had the beagles. They're gone out of Tramore now.
Oh, what were they? Tell us about them. What were they?
Well, they were on foot. Smaller dogs hunting hares on foot. They were at that up to about 4 or 5 years ago. They couldn't get any youngsters to join up, so the youngsters weren't into walking.
And for the beagles then, were they catching hares for the coursing or what?
Not at all.
All right.
They'd never catch a hare.
All right.
I often see the hare sitting up on the hill and they looking back at it. And when you see him coming again, they take off.
Yeah.
They just wanted the exercise.
And did Ned, did you develop a love of the countryside from all this?
All of it from the very start. I still love the countryside. Even going out now for an odd game of golf, just walking through the course, the golf wouldn't be bothering me.
And tell me, just about golf and all that thing, and you're growing up in Tramore, was there a class divide in Tramore?
There was, going back years ago, a big divide. The ordinary working man wouldn't be left inside that place up there. I'd say you're after interviewing people about that already, eh?
But when did that all change then? When did it all change, do you think?
Probably when they started needing money. They left them in.
Yeah. And maybe needing a few good players.
No, and they got them too. Yes, they did. They got quite a few.
Do you remember the Rooney up there?
Oh, well, he could teach the whole lot of them how to play.
Now, he was a working class guy, wasn't he?
Well, you could call him that.
But he taught a lot of people how to play, didn't he?
He did, and his uncle, wasn't it? Yeah, his uncle. But the Rooney himself was brilliant. Even playing snooker. I'd see him bending a ball around another one 50 years ago, which very few people could do. And he was a brilliant soccer player. Multi-talent.
Could do anything. But I mean, you find that too with the hurlers, don't they? They all take up golf now and they can...
Yeah, they have the natural swing.
Yeah, it's interesting. And And what are you played soccer and all that? Did you play in competitions and did you play for Tramore and stuff?
Just to play an odd game with him. I wasn't really into training. They'd call me when to be short someone, I guess a call.
What position did you play in?
Outside left.
Alright. So you're a winger, fast?
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, well, I got that from the athletics.
From school? Did you do athletics in school? Okay. So you're good at crossing the ball?
Yeah.
Okay. But the danger obviously is that you get crunched by a back on the other team.
Oh, well, you'd often get a hard tackle all right. But if you were fast enough, you could skip by him.
But they took no prisoners back then, did they?
We should be sure of it. Especially if you were going through the middle. You might get through with the ball route.
And then, would you have gone in to see Waterford soccer team play?
Regular. Every second Sunday. Mostly with cycling. There was a man up there had a coal yard, Tom Cusick, or Jack Cusick, I think. And he used to go in the lorry. And we'd all be waiting for a lift. He piled the whole lot of us into the lorry. We didn't care how we got in.
And Kilcoan, I mean, they had a good soccer team for many years, hadn't
They had a great team then.
Yeah.
You know what, they won, what was it, 5 out of 6 leagues. One thing they couldn't win was the cup. I was very disappointed. We were up in Dalymount when they played Rovers in the cup. And your man Mick Leach ruined them with a hat trick.
And tell me, sorry, we're talking about something. Go on, you, Gary, I can't think of something.
Yeah, the 1959 hurling game.
But I can't remember whether it was at the first game or the replay. It was a draw, and then there was a replay. I think it was at the draw, and the van went up and the replay broke down. But that finished that.
And you were talking about hunting there earlier. You were big into the fishing, weren't you, at one stage?
Ah yes, I was involved in the boats over there for years. Actually built one. Myself and Eddie and Pat McDonald. But the Uncle Alec, he had one as well. So there was always a boat there somewhere.
You were involved with the fishing club as well, weren't you?
Oh, the Angling Club. I was actually a founder member of that. Remember we were down in Joe Galeese one day and we were talking and I was getting bait. So it's a pity we haven't got a truck here. Leave it to me, said Joe, I call a meeting down in Mick Morrissey's. A load of fellas turned up. Club for him straight away. It's still going.
Who else would have been involved in the club at that time?
Mickey the Barber used to work here. Mick Grant, Joe Galeese, Paddy Elbert. Oh, and Smokey Joe got involved. And not a lot from town too, that works in the Munster. They were in it too. That's still going strong.
Joe, he was a bit of a character, wasn't he? In the sense of did he have a gun shop as well? And
he had a sports shop down the street there. No, he said built guns and all. That's where I bought my first rod and eventually my first gun down there.
But he was an interesting character, wasn't he?
Oh, very, very. You could chat away to him all day down there.
And where was he from originally then?
I'm not too sure.
Because it's an unusual name, isn't it?
I always remember him living here in Tramore.
And apparently he used to teach art as well and all sorts of stuff.
That's right, yeah. Oh, he was a great character. Everyone used to love going into that shop, just to browse around and chat.
And just in relation to other characters around, when you were a child, can you remember any characters that were around that time that are long gone now, but that were kind of interesting?
I guess there was so many of them. Town was full of them. There's only a couple now I could think of offhand, like Limerick Bill and Lark Sean. They're the ones that come to mind, but there was plenty of them around.
And what was it about the two of them that kind of stands out for you?
Well, Limerick Bill spent most of his time down at the Atlantic Dance Hall, just sitting down and chatting to people. Larry Keown used to be playing the accordion. Oh, and of course Larry used to play the accordion at the school athletics as well. But they were always there. There's a lot of the others came after them now. That's about all now I can remember straight off. I know there is an awful lot more.
Yeah. You mentioned, some stories about Tramore about that. You mentioned that story about down the Sandhills. What was the Ballon? What was the one? The name of the...
Well, the Gullah movies.
Yeah, what's that story? Tell us that.
That was a headless horseman used to ride up and down the beach. And he was well known. But that's where they made out that's his yard. Oh, the old folks going back that time, they swear by it, used to see this fella going up and down on the horse.
And there was another story I heard too about the Shifra. Did you ever hear this?
The Shifra?
Yeah.
I've heard about that, but I don't know much about it. But I think she was down from the lower side.
Okay.
Going back down towards Thornley, was it?
And what about the bathing women, or you call it the people who used to look after the bathing huts and all that?
Oh, they had the bathing boxes. Ah, yeah, there was a load of them around. In my time there used to be a lining on the women's slip and another lining on the men's slip. But I believe before that they used to wheel them off out the beach as the tide went out. Then they'd have to haul them back in again.
So people would get changed in there and then run into the water?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So it was kind of modesty thing, was it?
Oh yeah. And place to leave their clothes.
Mm. And would you remember people selling fish and stuff around like that?
Gosh, they were selling fish up to what, about 15 years ago, and the health and safety put a stop to. Used to sell them around the town here.
And who were the families involved?
That'd be the Coilies, but the last one. I'm sure we had selling them up to about 4 years ago up here on the Priest Road. That was kind of all part of Tramore.
And would you remember the cockle pickers, like the...
Yeah.
Who would they be?
They'd be up from Waterford.
So,
I often see women with picking cockles themselves when they'd have those baskets on here tied around them, and they'd be hitting off in water.
so they'd be picking the back strand and then heading into town?
Yeah.
Wow. And would they sell them here locally as well?
No. The people here would go down and get their own.
Okay.
Those women used to get me now down at the Cullier side, and that was a long haul back up onto the Waterford Road. How they got him in the rest of the bed, I don't know. Probably someone came out with a horse and car and threw him up on it.
And tell me about the Tramore train then. What was this? Did you go in and out? You were used to going in and out regularly, did you?
And when I was going to the tech, yes, that's the way I went in.
Or what's your memory of the train?
Slow. And the long wait, if you're coming out doing night school in the tech, into the station house. A long wait for the next train. It was a monotonous place in there.
You knew Terry Colbert that worked on the train, didn't you? Terry Colbert.
Terry, yeah. I'm sure Terry, I knew Terry well.
What was his function on the train?
Conductor, I think, or what, ticket collector, or whatever. He was down here, he was based in Tramore, I think, for a long time. And I think he retired out of here. Mr. Terry owned the Colberts on the railway.
And now, do you know the Atlantic Ballroom and would you have gone to dances there?
2 and 3 nights a week. And then I got to know the bouncers were on. Out fishing, I'd bring them in a load of fish. I wouldn't have to pay, I could go for the week without paying.
And what can you remember any of the bands that you used to see there?
Biggest one would have been Joe Loss. He was there fairly often. Of course, the Clipper Carlton. But probably every band, every show band in Ireland played there. And then you had across the road, the Silver Slipper. So you'd be going from one to the other.
And and it'd be like, you obviously were into dance.
Oh, big time.
What was your dance? What was your...
Anything.
Really?
As I got older then, the old time waltz, that was it.
So you were good on your feet?
It's fairly handy. When you're doing it often enough, you become good. If you didn't, the women wouldn't go out with you. If you just refused point blank.
So they didn't take, they'd be fairly blunt if you were no good.
Oh yeah. So you had to be fairly lively.
Was there any drink involved?
Huh?
Was there any drink involved?
Not in the earlier years, but later on, yes.
And would there much room to dance? Like, I mean, the pictures I see, it looks packed.
Well, the Atlantic, that was packed every night. And at the time, everyone wore suits. And the sweat would be running off you.
And would you be bumping into a load of people? Or
Of
would
course you would, yeah. That's why you'd be only shuffling around. That's why you'd be delighted when you get a night when there wouldn't be too many there. You could let yourself go.
And Ned, did you ever play music yourself?
We had a group. I think they might just kind of drum the guitar.
What was the group?
Oh, what was the name of it? The Rhythm Boys.
Or what kind of music was it?
Not all up-to-date stuff, whatever. It was mostly concerts we done, like for charity and that.
And did you sing?
Yeah, when I was there.
The main man? And you know what I'm going to ask you now, aren't I?
And you're not going.
But what kind of tunes would you do? Tell us, can you remember any of the songs?
Lots of country and western.
Okay. Like Jim Reeves and stuff like that? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who else was in the group, Ned?
It changed a few times. The brother Noel was in it. Benny Hooper. Power was in it for a while. So was Paddy Hennessy. Paddy used to practice with this, although he was with another group. I think Tom Mills appeared with us a couple of times. It's just so you're doing a concert.
And would it all be local concerts?
And there might be a few country ones. We done one inside in the Theatre Royal. Can't remember what that was. I think it was a fundraiser for the Red Cross or something.
And Joe, when you started working then, Ned, where was the? I mean, you mentioned the ballroom, but what about the pubs back in those days? Did you start going to pubs that stage?
I started going to pubs about 18.
And have the pubs in Tramore changed much?
I gosh, they have. So there's only about half the pubs left anyway. Usually went to the pub to play a game of darts or something. Then when the pool came in, that was another attraction. So you had to do your own entertainment.
But what kind of pubs that were around then are gone now? Tell us some of the names.
There's Morricky Hose. That's eventually finished up. The Three Swans, that's gone. The Ledger is gone. The pubs down the town now have lost track of them. They've closed and opened so often. Like the Deluxe. But of course Rockets is gone. The Ritz was closed gone for a while, but it's back again.
Where would have been your locals back then?
Either Morricky Hose or Michael Morrissey's. That's Joe Shea's now. That's where he used to play darts for those two. And then other times to be up here.
And obviously there'd be no women in the pubs in those days, was there?
No.
So when did women start being allowed in?
Because I hadn't a clue. I remember they weren't allowed in here for a long time either. I remember they used to go into the blue room. May Murray's, there was a snug there. That's another one that's closed. May Murray's. They had a little snug, the women could go in there. But other than that, I don't think there was anywhere to get in.
They'd find that hard to believe now, wouldn't they?
Oh gosh, they wouldn't hear tell of it. They'd break in.
I mean, definitely the role of women has changed a lot, hasn't it?
It has. And rightly so.
And what about your own mum and your sisters? What were they? What was the role for women like back then?
With my mother, that was her life, being a mother. But with the sisters, well, they were changed completely. They done what they wanted to do.
And would you see, I mean, obviously you've lived through a fair change in life. I mean, what are the big changes for you as regards what it was like back then and what it's like now for you?
Well, everyone is a lot better off now. Back then it was a struggle, but you still made the best of it. If you didn't, that was tough look on you.
But do you think that people look back and kind of with rosy tinted glasses, like in the sense of...
Some people still do.
Okay.
They're good old days.
So you think the reality was much tougher back then?
Oh, it was. But like I said, you made the best of it.
And would people look out for each other more back then, or was it dog eat dog?
Oh no, everyone looked after each other. I mean, no one locked their doors that time. And they'd be swapping, going in for a loan of a mug of milk or a half pound of this. I give it back to you at the weekends. That's the way it was. And no one would refuse you.
And then obviously the people nowadays wouldn't believe the whole idea of credit. Everyone got credit in
Oh yeah. You go in and get your groceries and you paid at the end of the week. You had your little book. Whatever you got was written down. You go in at the end of the week when you got paid and you mark it off.
And it was the same in pubs.
Oh yeah, there was always a slate.
Yeah. Dangerous. It was dangerous.
If you get to the stage you wouldn't know who owned the money. If I owe him or does he owe me?
And Tramore also has changed an awful lot.
I believe it's come from a village to a good sized town.
Would you say that is a good thing or a bad thing?
I prefer it now in between. Between the village and the town. I don't know how many towns are in it now. And there was around 3,000 in it now. There was more room. So we're surrounded by houses now. Like when I started the shooting, I could walk out of my house, up the road, and I was in the country straight away. I'd have to walk a long ways now to do it.
And where was your house then, Ned?
St. Othran's when I started. Even when I moved up to Moonlown, we were the last lower houses there, weren't we?
Last estate.
Yeah. And walk across the road and I was in the country. Now it's the houses are gone way out.
But you were on about getting groceries on the slate. You'd remember lodges then?
Oh yeah. And not just they all had it. He said the likes of Keneally's, Howard's the Terrace, and Charlie Matthews. They all had to give credit. I think it was the same with everyone. Milk, bread or whatever. Get what you wanted and pay at the end of the week.
And you deliver post for a while, Ned. Whereabouts did you deliver the post?
Done the whole lot. When I was doing the relief work, there was 6 postmen, and I'd have to do the 6 runs. Some was walking, some runs were on walking, some on a bike, the others in vans out the country.
And was that from the post? Who was the postmaster in that stage?
Worked under a couple of them. The first was Tom Brennan, that's a long time ago. And then down in Queen Street. Miss Diver, was it? Yeah, Miss Diver.
And how far out would you go with the post?
Out around Dunhill. The bounds of Dunhill and Kill. And then the bounds between Tramore and Waterford. Down as far as near enough to Clormick.
Well, that's a fair run, isn't it?
You get to know a bit of the area.
You might be faster by boat.
Would you be offered a little tipple at Christmas then as you went door to door?
Too much of it. Too much of it.
A very early start too, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's all right getting the drink late in the evening, but some people, first thing in the morning, they'd want you to have it. You wouldn't get much done.
But yeah, what time would you start work then?
It's usually around 7:30. have to be in there to sort out and head the stuff up and then get off.
Did Tramore ever have telegram boys?
Oh yeah. The last telegram bank was Billy Sinnott, two of them, Nicky Drone. Then they became postmen out here. They were the last two, I think.
So the telegrams kind of finished when the telephones came in, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there was another one of the rear cigars. There was one of them done it for a while too.
And if you got a telegram, was that a bad day or a good day? When someone saw a telegram boy coming?
Depends on what was in it.
Yeah. But the heart being up in your throat, wouldn't it?
No, but the ones they want to see the postman coming with the registered letter. They'd be sending money over from England. That's the one they wanted to see.
Yeah.
So all that stopped too.
And like, it was very common, wasn't it, for your generation, for to have people in England?
That's to say, most of the fellas I went to school with actually went to England. Unless some of them went on to secondary and done well, they got jobs around Ireland somewhere. But the majority of them went over.
Because there was no employment here.
Yeah. If there was, the money wasn't good, so they cleared out.
And what part of England did they go to? Yeah.
I suppose London most of them. Where's the other place? I suppose London, Liverpool, Coventry. There's quite a few went to Coventry.
And did you ever hear much from them afterwards?
Some of them would write for a year or so, and then I might get fed up answering the letters, or they might get fed up answering mine, and that would be that. But every so often they come back on a holiday.
Yeah. And tell me, just to go back to the race week, would you have gone up there to the race meeting?
Tramore?
Yeah.
I never missed a meeting up there.
How would you get in?
In up the top, in through the sheet iron.
And like that was a whole ritual there, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. As soon as they nail up on, you'd open up and
And then
that's when the outside course is in it.
Okay. And once you got in, there was no hassle, was there?
No, had to be if some fella there tried to stop you, you just walk past.
And did you want to go in to gamble or just for the crack? What was it?
I wanted to go in for the crack, and if you had a few bob, you'd have the odd bob here and there. Or you go around collecting the tote tickets and you check to see if any of them are winners. And more often than not, you get a couple. There'll be money coming off them.
Well, people just dropped him by accident, or?
Yeah, but they might have thought the horse didn't win and just threw it away. Oh, every young fella done that up there.
You just said you never missed a meeting. How long are you going to the races up there now?
Started going up. The father used to bring us up, and he'd have to lift us over the stile. The fella on the stile he wouldn't take for kids, so we'd be told either get under it or he'd lift us over. And when I was big enough to go on my own, it was up around the top. And I'm still going.
And would you get tips, or how would it work?
I wouldn't even listen to a tip. Not up there. You just fancy something yourself and back. That's it.
Your father sounds like he was a bit of a character.
Well, he was. He was involved in everything that was going on in the town, so he was well known. said he was in the Red Cross, he was in the Coast Life Saving Service, and he was actually the first scout master. So you name it, he was stuck in it.
I think that's ringing a bell now. I think your cousins were involved in the Scouts of Waterford too, weren't they? I'm not sure.
One of them, I think, yeah.
And tell me, just in relation to, you said that there would be always loads of people sitting in the shop talking.
Well, they couldn't sit in it, there wasn't much room.
Okay.
But they'd be in for the chat. And they'd discuss everything. And there'd be people trying to get in with shoes and get out.
And was he political, your father?
Huh?
Was he talking politics, or was he?
They talk about everything, whatever people want to talk about. That's it.
But he didn't kind of like, would he have strong opinions on things, or would he be more kind of a chat?
I don't think he had. I think he was a Fianna Fáil man, but he didn't get too hot over it.
And what about the war? Would he have opinions on the war and all that?
Well, I don't really remember those conversations. No, he probably had.
You were telling us about the bus tours he was on.
Yeah.
Where would he run the tours to?
You name it, he ran.
Would they be-
Killarney was a regular one with him. Down around Cork, Garnish Islands. He ran a couple to Galway as well. And up the East Coast. Then he'd have the half-day tours, maybe down to Kennedy Park. Handy ones, right up to Mellery and those places. They were the ones, they wouldn't start now until 2 o'clock.
Or would it be on a regular basis that he'd run it?
Oh, during the summer, yeah. That was regular. I actually have some of his stuff at home, and all the people that were going on the bus, where the bus was going, and all the people that went on. And all written down in the book.
And he was a bit of a historian as well, was he?
Yeah, it was like to see started got on Andy Taylor to do it. He was always on about it himself, so eventually he got on Tandy. And Andy finished up doing 3.
So he used to collect stories then, your father?
That thing went on, newspaper cuttings going back over the year and all that kind of thing. He had scrapbooks all over the place. It was just kind of a hobby with him.
You still have some of the books, have you?
Huh?
You still have some of those books?
I have, yeah.
And then what did he think of Andy's books?
Oh, he was delighted with it.
Was he proud?
Oh yeah, he said he'd done a great job. Father only gave him so much information, and he went off and got the rest of it himself.
Which is great. It's great that it happened. That someone captured it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay, Ned?
Grand.
That's brilliant. Thanks very much for giving us your time.
So you're going to sing a song at the end now, yeah?
Huh?
You're going to sing us that song at the end?
You heard me coughing there.
We should bring in the guitar.
The Banks of the Ohio, that's your one?
No, that's Noel's.
Oh, that's Noel's, is it?
What's Ned's one?
Which one was it? Yeah, which one do you?
Huh?
Which one is usually your party piece?
There's quite a few.
I think I have a recording of it at home anyway. I'll dig it out.
Would you give us a verse even?
No.
Alright.
Tickler.
Okay. No hassle. No hassle, Ned. Ned, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Happy.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That was lovely.